We are a little bit late, 10 minutes, but I know Professor Dan can wrapping up the next session, and we will erase the elapse of time. Go ahead, Professor Dan, and take the mic to chairing the next sessions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And again, hats off for putting on such a great event. And Larry, I want you to know how I was trying to get ahead of schedule by jumping on at least an hour earlier than I was supposed to. So again, this session is strengthening of traditional and virtual services for innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship. And we're joined this morning with Dr. Ali. Ali, are you ready?
Yes, I am here. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, go ahead. You've got the platform.
First, I thank Dr. Hanadi Al-Mubarak for this wonderful and useful conference. And I thank her for inviting us to this conference. I'm speaking now. I'm speaking on behalf of the Vice President and Higher Accreditation and Quality Assurance Commission for Higher Education Institution in Jordan, and I am Ali Daratka from Accreditation and Quality Assurance Commission for Higher Education Institution in Jordan. I'm talking about 5G innovation and the development of e-learning. Now I am sharing a presentation. Yes. You see a presentation, my presentation?
Yes, we can see your slides.
Yes. 5G connect virtually everyone and everything together, including machine, objects, and devices. 5G with its fantastic speed will make both virtual and augmented reality possible. Virtual reality will enable hand-on experience and make the learning process more exciting and innovation. Augmented can be an effective manner to disseminate the right information at the right time to the right audience, and then it helps learners to acquire a process and remember information efficiently. How can 5G make a difference to e-learning? 5G extremely low latency rate means the sending and receiving of information goes from 200 milliseconds for 4G down to 1 millisecond with 5G. The increase in speed will make 5 core elements of learning smoother and easier: interaction, immersion, personalization, flexibility, and access for all. What education can expect the impact of 5G to e-learning? Immersive lesson with augmented reality and virtual reality create assistance for students with special needs. Smart classroom LOT saves teachers time. Download videos in seconds. Low latency, tactile entrance, more flexible learning. Now, what are 5G challenges in e-learning? This is a question we need answer, and my recommendation on e-learning: 5G will be used many economic vertical and is not just about a smartphone. 5G specialization needs significant knowledge-based and skills development among economic verticals. Intent is to improve knowledge-based and skills, bring global 5G events to Jordan, create local 5G events, create a native-wide skills development program. It is time for Jordan to sit up, and thank you.
Great.
Listen me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Our next speaker, Dr. Amani. Dr. Amani, are you here?
Accept our apology, Professor Dan. Dr. Amani, she have a health issue, and she apologizes from all, but who will take a place from Dr. Amani, Aksha. Just now I need to send you the text. Dr. Aksha Bahzar. Dr. Aksha, he is in. Can you check?
Yeah.
Can you stop,
Dr.
please, would
Aksha,
you mind, Dr. Ali, would you mind to stop share the screen? Dr. Ali?
Dr. Ali? Go ahead and just stop
Yes.
sharing.
Can you
No.
stop the share the screen, please?
Okay.
Dr. Aksha? Dr. Akash. Dr. Akash?
Akashi, yes. I am here, but a minute, yeah.
Okay. Dr. Akash will joining us in this session instead of last session.
Okay.
Because it is.
Dr. Ali, can you stop sharing? Can you push the stop share button?
Just so lighter. Make it a little bit deeper.
There should be, Dr. Ali, there should be a red button to stop share. Can you see that? Do you see
The
it,
light is
Dr.?
not making any difference. Now let her finish from this guy.
There we go. Thank you, Dr. Ali.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Akash.
Good afternoon to you. Excuse me, Larry, would you mind to mute your mic? Larry? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So I wish to share the presentation, but I have it on my other system. Just trying to see if, because it's showing that I am not able to share. Just a second. Apologies, I'm just trying to see. So I'm logging from two devices and it's just showing me the webinar mode, so I'm not able to present.
You're logged in as a panelist, I believe. Is that correct?
Sorry, can you share your presentation in the chat box or send me by email? I can operate it for you. No problem.
Okay.
Can we, while you are preparing your presentation, can you take Dr. Fatin? I think Dr. Fatin, she's waiting from early morning.
Great.
To allow Dr. Aksha preparing.
Dr. Fatin, can you go ahead and start your presentation?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hi, good evening here. It's 9:20 at night here. Thank you, Dr. Hanadi, for really a very nice conference this year. I'm enjoying it tremendously, and welcome everyone from all over the world. Thank you for being with us today. My name is Fatin Al-Jabsha. I'm Division Director for Scientific and Technical Support at the Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research. KISR is about 56 years old. It's a pioneer research center in the region. And thank you, Dr. Hanadi, for putting up the slides. Let's go to the first slide, please. So the outline of my presentation is I'm going to talk about the science technology, our STI vision, the strategic management analysis team, our objectives and our role, the management structure for planning and implementation of KISR and the science and technology strategy, the emerging technology roadmap, and examples of outputs and deliverables. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you, Dr. Hanadi. I'm really sorry for the inconvenience. So KISR is the only research center in Kuwait. So we have a lot on our plate. We focus on areas that are pertinent to Kuwait. We're an applied research organization. So we only do applied research. We don't do basic research. And we focus on the 4 research centers that we have, and those were a result of a restructuring program that we went through a few years ago. So we have programs under the Petroleum Research Center that are involved with corrosion, optimization of refining, desulfurization, which is a primary concern for Kuwait, and improved oil recovery and polymeric products. We have the Water Research Center. Water Resources Center is focused on wastewater reclamation, thermal desalination. Desalination is a big topic in Kuwait. It's a primary concern. We focus on thermal desalination technologies, development and management programs, and innovative desalination, forward-looking desalination programs that are focused on forward-looking technologies and membranes. Then we have the Environment and Life Science Research Center, which is the biggest research center we have. And under it, there are about 8 programs. The Coastal Management Program, Aquaculture, Biotechnology, Crisis Decision Support, Desert Agriculture and Ecosystem Program, Environmental Pollution, Food and Nutrition, Ecosystem-Based Management for Marine Resources. Fisheries program. And of course, we have the Energy and Building Research Center, which focuses on energy efficiency, renewable energy, construction and building materials, sustainable and reliable infrastructures, nanotechnology, and advanced materials. Next slide, please. Our 5th center, which is partly research and partly not, is the Science and Technology Center, which is the center that I'm in. So we base our programs through, we filter them through a very detailed differential diagnosis kind of approach. And it's based on the Vision 2030, 2035. It's based on our development plan for Kuwait, on Kuwait's development plan. So that's what it's anchored on. Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research aims to be an internationally acknowledged and regional pioneer center by 2030, and the driving force of which is sustainable economic prosperity and quality of life for Kuwait. To achieve this vision, the mission of KISR depends mainly on developing, deploying, and exploiting the best technologies and knowledge economy and an innovative approach toward the public and private sector engagement with benefits for KISR, of course. We know the challenges and the opportunities ahead. The most important function of this sector is scientific leadership. So this is what the Science and Technology Center is looked at. Next slide, please. Our responsibilities and our functions are stratified into 3 main areas, which is scientific leadership, client-focused research and development, and then technical services, which is internal to KISR. Next slide, please. Within the Science and Technology Center, which focuses partly on STI, on basically catapulting the science, technology, innovation policy for Kuwait. We have the SMAT, which is the Strategic Management Analysis Team. Now, this team has a critical function within the sector. The team has a cross-cutting KISR-wide role and function, and that's what I chose to focus my presentation on today, because I wanted to give you an example about what's happening at KISR right now, Kuwait, where we're looking at to develop KISR's science and technology capability by developing an emerging technology roadmap to guide us in our medium and long-term global S&T development goals related to our grand challenges as a country. To propose our high-value strategic technology system targets and to initiate a technology analysis and planning process to identify specific high-value technology platforms and component targets within these systems. And we work with research centers, so cross-cutting, to identify the necessary R&D capabilities that would allow KISR to make significant contributions to the development of new capabilities at the research centers. Next slide, please. So we focus on looking at and defining niches that are cost-effective, that are beneficial, that have an compounded impact into the future, looking at a 20-year breadth. The STSD, the Scientific and Technical Support Division, is responsible to carry out this STI policy. And we look at prototyping. Our vision is to institutionalize and maintain scientific excellence and innovation, and to develop and lead science, technology, and innovation strategy to fulfill KISR's vision. Next slide, please. If we look at our structure, we have a top-bottom and a bottom-top simultaneous structure. So we have a leadership team, we have a scientific advisory council, we have an oversight committee, and that's all part of upper management. It trickles down to the strategic management analysis team, which is smack in the middle, from which emanates those ad hoc committees that are based on experts in those different fields that come up and investigate, examine, and scan technologies in those fields, looking ahead and then cross-cutting them and cross-referencing them with what we do at KISR, and finding where there is a cross-section where we can meet and develop a technology or a patentable, commerciable product or technique or methodology into the future. Next slide, please. The 5-year plan for our science and technology strategy development process is stratified and as such. So we look at establishing technology system analysis capability, establishing a global science and technology scanning analysis capability, and then developing emerging technology road mapping capability. This is in a way also a continuous ongoing process because the turnover of the science and the technology in these fields is high. Next slide, please. The emerging technology roadmap would look like this: what really matters to Kuwait versus how do we get there. And it looks at productive technology systems, technology platforms, component technologies, and technology capabilities, as I mentioned in the previous slide. For example, power planting producing saleable green electricity. For example, heat and electric storage technologies, and chemical or mechanical bioengineering systems or component modeling, big data, bio and nanotechnology. Next slide, please. The criteria we use for SMAT that we've devised and designed in our committee was basically national need, a KISR niche, an emerging technology, where there's room for research advances that are promising and tangible, where we would be leapfrogging potentially, the leapfrogging potential is high, where ad hoc committees reflecting niches for mapping technologies R&D as per the strategic objectives. So there's least catch up and most niche. We consider linkages and we consider cost structures. Next slide, please. The outputs and deliverables, we provide recommendations driven by analysis to develop KISR's capability to develop ETR to guide KISR's participation in and contribution to selected medium and long-term global science and technology development goals based on Kuwait's grand challenges. So we don't do anything far from what we need. The Emerging Technology Roadmap furnishes a framework for managing and reviewing the complex dynamic R&D process. We target specific R&D activities. We address strategic technical goals and specifically support market, business, or policy government objectives for the future. And the development of these roadmaps is guided by results of the system analysis by technical reviews and analyses of major technology systems. SMAT utilizes material from international governments, from agencies like the IEA, and reviews or purchased from vendors. The final output is a patentable, commerciable product, which is where we cross-cut also with the commercialization division. Next slide, please. I have 3 examples for you, one from environmental life sciences, where we basically go through a process where we try to discover what is needed in these disciplines to start the kind of ETR. So big data generation tools. Do we need second generation DNA sequencer for genomics, specialized mass spectrometry platform optimized for proteomics, for example? Big data analysis tools such as high performance computers, software, machine learning techniques. The output would be genomic, proteomic, metabolomic output successfully produced and marketed research proposals led by one of our doctors, Dr. Bedouinzi. The other example, next slide please, is from the Petroleum Research Center. And it's also looking to meet national petroleum production goals to maximize the value of Kuwait's petroleum products and minimize the cost of production. And it's based on challenges of the PRC and program challenges, looking into futuristic technologies, for example, novel nanostructured hybrid materials, innovative technology based on slurry bed reactors for high conversions of heavy crude oil feedstock, controlling the lifetime of plastics to minimize their environmental impact, development of specialty bioproducts and biodiesel from waste, wastewater treatment in oil industry using micro and nano bubbles, absorptive intergeneration of coke or gas oil. The output of which would be nanostructured reticular materials fabrication output successfully produced and marketed research proposal led by Dr. Faraz Rasool, also one of our researchers. Next slide, please. The last example I have for you is from the Water Research Center. And of course, one of our grand challenge in Kuwait, as in many other countries, of course, is the fact that water is limited and desalination is a major area for continuous upgrading, continuous examination, and membrane research is vibrant in that field. So what's currently being used, seawater desalination plants in Kuwait are part of fully integrated power and water cogeneration complexes. MSF and RO and now FO2 is being used. So we're always looking at innovative membrane desalination, brine treatment, extraction of valuable minerals and salts, desalination using alternative energies, artificial water recharge, water harvesting, and water storage and distribution. So the future of emerging technologies. Last slide, please. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. And Dr. Hanadi, thank you very much for flipping the slides. And the science of today is the technology of tomorrow, as Edward Teller told us. And thank you very much. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Fatna. I really appreciate your presentation. It was very enjoyable. So,
thank you. Bye-bye.
Dr. Amani, is your presentation ready?
Professor Dan, Dr. Amani is no more in our conference. She have a health issue. Okay. Dr. Aksha, I think he prepared himself as they messaging me.
All righty.
Doctor, yes.
Well, Dr. Hanadi, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm really excited and enthused to join in this wonderful global meetings of minds, and hopefully the the sheer knowledge capital on this this platform would be able to. Sorry, are you saying something, Dr. Hanadi?
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So while you put up the slide, in the background, I would love to, like I said, really grateful for this opportunity. And I am today joining in from India. It's almost 5 past midnight, and you can see the excitement that I'm all ready and all excited to share what we do in SkyQuest. So I represent SkyQuest Technology Group, which is globally headquartered in Massachusetts, just outside Boston, a place called Westford. And we have been involved, in fact, our horizon that has been to how do we meaningfully commercialize, the knowledge which exists in academia and research centers. So today in my presentation, once the slide is up, Dr. Hanadi, if you could kindly put up the slides. It would be my pleasure to take you through both our journey, and through that, would like to share what some of the best practices which we've been involved with, and the whole idea of this knowledge forum, this conference, is to see if we can exchange best practices and hopefully find new collaborators, and to collaborate with participants and all the audiences which is joining in globally. So, Dr. Hanadi, can we have the deck on the screen, please? All right, I think till the slides are loaded. I'm assuming Dr. Hanadi is trying. So SkyQuest, we started back in 2006 with the idea of working with early stage researchers. Mostly, as early as TRL2, TRL3, and sometimes just ideation stage, all the way to TRL6. We do the full spectrum. But the idea was that how do you look at ideas which are emerging and kind of validate scientifically and from a techno-commercialization perspective and techno-legal perspective, what value can the innovations across different sectors be added. Ultimately, we are deep believers that all the science and technology research which goes on worldwide is actually there is both a moral and actually a fiduciary responsibility to utilize the research dollars which are spent wisely, and to see, especially for applied research, that the outcomes can actually benefit the humankind in the best possible way. So with that thesis, we have been working on multiple aspects of the continuum of the innovation, commercialization value chain, to be able to support and help various researchers, innovators, to kind of help them with commercialization. So Dr. Hanadi, are you able to put up the slides?
Unfortunately, you didn't send me your presentation. I checked the emails. I didn't find anything. Did you?
It's on the group chat. Yeah, it's on the group chat on your WhatsApp as well. I'm
okay. Sorry. Sorry. One moment. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So while the slides being loaded, so all right. So one of the first aspects of, and I'm sure a lot of you are experts in your own right and have been involved.
Send it in the group, and I think I'm looking.
Okay. Do you want me to send it again?
No. It's open. One moment.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Okay, so we did very early on realize that it's very important to even orient the research which happens in the wet lab, in the labs, with what would be the gaps or the commercial requirements in terms of industrial or applicability with regards to either the government use or the private use as well. So around that, we have structured
Presentation
our...
is ready, Dr. Aksha. Your presentation is ready and shared. If you start.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yes, I can see that. This is just the first slide. As I said, can you go to the next slide, please, Doctor? Yeah. So like I mentioned, we started our journey back in 2006, and today we are a global innovation management and commercialization organization, which works across several sectors. Next slide, please. And what we've done over a period of time, we've realized that it's very important, keeping in mind even both regulatory policy, national security aspects, to a global IP commercialization and the sensitivities involved. We've actually structured the organization in a way to be able to work with inventors and researchers and universities across the globe, depending on what sort of jurisdictions one would like to be aligned to. Like in the US, we have two organizations which actually spearhead the IP commercialization part, and then we have presence in India, in China, and overall in our journey of building the invention economy, as we call. And today, in SkyQuest, our vision is, to support all the innovations which are possible, which will help our globe or humanity more sustainable, right? Towards achieving the sustainable development goals. Next slide, please, Doctor. This is just a very quick timeline on which, in the interest of time, I would just pick out the highlights. Like starting from 2006, where one of the initial projects we worked on was open source drug discovery initiative, where some of the diseases like tuberculosis, which affects the it affects a lot of how would I say, developing and least developed countries in terms of and it's a disease which is not very well addressed by global pharma majors. So we partnered with the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research under Government of India, and worked on developing the open source drug discovery initiative. From that very initial, looking at the Linux approach to drug discovery, which was at that time a very, was one of its kind initiative, pushing open innovation to the core, to today, and then moving across, working with several governments as well as large institutions, to today even working with some of the best funders in the world, like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, etc., working on commercializing and supporting innovations at both micro as well as systemic and national levels. We've in our organization, we try to cater to the early researchers to even national requirements. So this is just a spread to indicate that. Please, next slide, please, Doctor. So overall, as an organization, we are a global team of over 250 odd people, and with the understanding and experience of working cumulatively over 65 countries. And we have partnered over last 17 or now next year will be 18 years running, around 800 plus universities, TTOs, research centers, independent as well as nationalized international organizations. And we also keep with us techno, legal, and subject matter experts, because you can't have the in-house expertise in order to evaluate every specific research area. So we actually draw upon experts from different fields, micro experts, subject matter experts. That helps us in understanding the innovation better. And once we understand the innovation better, we help understand the roadmap, or create the roadmap for the best way or the shortest path to commercialization in terms of bringing the innovation to market. We also have our own investment function as well, where we have 15 plus deal architects, which work with investors, funders, donors, etc., to bring in their interest and support in high impact innovations. And I will also share some examples as well. Next slide, please, Doctor. We can go to the next one, please. Yeah, I would skip this one as well. Yeah, so this is, I also want to share, because, the topic is that how do you bring in some of the best practices, or how do you really bring innovation commercialization? So I've tried to include some of the aspects of what do we do and how it jives in with the research ecosystem. So one of the things which we realize is that you see, our core role, as we see, and as all inventors or good innovators look at themselves as problem solvers, right? So it's most important to first identify what sort of challenges are out there in terms of which are faced by public, which are faced by governments, which are faced by, let's say, municipalities or large industries, or even industries or factories, companies, to become more sustainable, become more productive, or more cost effective, right? So from that perspective, we constantly endeavor to actually identify problem statements and work with large enterprises who have the global worldview, but help them and work with them in order to identify very micro specific challenges. And with that input, we actually work with several researchers, universities worldwide, in order to actually landscape and scout for specific solutions which may be out there, which have probably solved it in one country. Let's say a solution is there in Vietnam, which has not yet explored the market which it can have, or it is solving a problem which may be very acute in Germany, for example. So how do you cross-pollinate that? As a first step to that is we actually create this knowledge repository in terms of scouting and landscaping this innovation and providing them in different forms, right from reports to maintaining knowledge portals, which various stakeholders in the innovation ecosystem can access. Next slide, please. So similarly, when we look at from the perspective of supply side, in the sense there's so much innovation already out there. So we try to also look at and work with buy side, or in terms of potential licensees or larger companies operating in the same space. For example, we work in the electric mobility, which is becoming right now a very important force of change.
Excuse me, Dr. Akasha. We are elapsed of time, and there are the remaining, as I know, 2 speakers. He is those speakers in the room. And if you allow us to wrap up quickly, to let Mr. Umair and Dr. Tariq presenting their time, because we don't need to miss the agenda duration.
Sure. So do I have 5 minutes, 2 minutes? Because
no, you have less than a minute to wrap up, please.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we can probably jump the slides. Yeah, so on this, just one sec, this slide. So we are basically, just previous one, ma'am, please. Yeah, so we are working with the research organizations and creating living labs where the innovations can be tried in real settings. For example, for medical innovations in hospitals, for electric mobility, with public utility as well as automobile companies. So we create living labs in order to accelerate, and we are able to do this in more than 30 plus countries. So next slide, ma'am, please. Yeah, you can skip. I prepared some case studies as well, but so this is just as an example of we do various patent auctions as well as technology roadshows across the globe, and also empower researchers to actually see technology commercialization as a way of looking at different avenues. I mean, monetizing their research. We work across with multilaterals as well as support various grants, etc., and support disruptive innovations in areas of health, energy, water, agriculture. And yeah, so this pretty much sort of wraps up. Sorry, due to the paucity of time, I wasn't able to go through the whole slides, but the slides can be available through Dr. Hanadi. So with this, I would like to conclude. Thank you, Dr. Hanadi, for this wonderful opportunity, and congratulations to you and the entire, all the speakers and global participants in making this juggernaut for innovation, and hope to be connected and continue to contribute to the ecosystem. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Akasha.
God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Akasha.
Dr. Umair.
Good evening, good afternoon to all. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you just fine.
Wonderful.
Excuse me, Dr. Umair. We have the remaining time is only 10 minutes. if you don't mind.
Don't worry, I will be less
yes,
than that.
5 minutes for you and 5 minutes for Dr. Tariq, okay? Accept our apology.
No problem.
For inconvenient thing.
No, that's fine at all. First of all, can you all see the screen?
Yes, we can.
You can see my slides. Wonderful. That's great. Okay. So again, good afternoon, good evening to all. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Dr. Hannady. First of all, again, my congratulations to you. It's been a pleasure working with you. I'm Dr. Umar Farouk. I am a senior project manager. I work for the WT, an organization in Kuwait who is building wastewater treatment plants. I am a manager with over 20 years of experience. I'm affiliated with the Institution of Civil Engineers, which I'm a pleasure to say that I have helped co-organize this wonderful event. And again, credit goes to Dr. Hannady. My background is I'm a civil engineer from the University of Manchester with a PhD. I'm a fellow of the ICE and also a fellow of the Chartered Management Institute. And I'm going to talk very briefly, as I promised Dr. Hannady, about a topic that actually requires a lot of data to be collected over the next few years. We human beings are social beings. We need to interact. We need to be in touch with emotions. We need to have face-to-face interaction. And I've given a link to a very interesting article in the Forbes. There have been drastic adoptions in the working environment, particularly post-COVID. The physical office was seen as a core place to nurture ideas and secure great talent. The physical office, of course, now is a digital office. And examples like today, which give us wonderful opportunities to express ideas through video calls, digital collaboration, have all supported this mass migration. Of course, environmentally, less office space is used. There is lower carbon footprint. The traditional methods of working, being on site or in office, flexible working hours, 9-day fortnights, the occasional sick leave on a Friday or a Monday to have a long weekend. This is now versus 4-day weeks, 4.5-day weeks, or the new term that we've come to coin, hybrid working. Okay, now, how do we measure productivity? We're finding that people who are working from home have, of course, avoid the longer commutes to the offices. They avoid unproductive social talks, spend more time with families, and of course, avoid sick leaves. There are obviously many ways to measure productivity. There are a number of softwares, such as Knowledge Sync. In order to adapt to such a working environment, we have to deconstruct some of our working methods. The HR policies need to be looked at. Methods of exchanging ideas have moved from the boardroom into virtual rooms. How do we mentor and develop colleagues virtually? How do we secure corporate information? How do we promote the well-being of employees and give them a sense of belonging? How do we promote effective screen participation? And how do we move from having less offices and more collaborating rooms? Has this move to hybrid working been a knee-jerk reaction? There's no doubt that the ability to socialize has been impacted by hybrid working, and it does impact the ideas to promote entrepreneurship, innovation, and creativity. And there is a danger that they could lead to some erosion. And I came across a very recent interesting article published by the MIT, who concluded that remote working adversely impacts innovation and creativity. And for the benefit of our audience, I have included the link to this article. And one statement really struck out. Proximity increases the odds of creating new connections and strengthening existing ones. The question of how to define proximity in the digital world and the physical world I will leave to your imagination. There is no doubt social media has promoted entrepreneurship. And I am sure in the future, this will be more managed through AI. Examples of how traditional entrepreneurship has grown exponentially is how we now have contactless payment systems, which allows organizations to grow. But I also believe the social effect is far more reaching and reaches a greater audience, which again is not limited to the physical office. We need to think about sustainability. While we adapt to these new habitual working environments, it's very, very important that we have solid internship and mentorship programs for our graduates to support their innovation. There is a trade-off that I do believe is between the face-to-face and virtual mentoring, which again, I do believe AI will take a huge part in. I leave with these thoughts. How will we as entrepreneurs or innovators measure success? Will it be through money? Will it be through influence of people? Or will it be through our social and environmental impact? Again, as I said, I will conclude with this. My email is on screen, and I can also be contacted on LinkedIn. Again, I know it's a very short presentation, and I'm afraid we won't have time for any questions, but you're welcome to ask Professor Dan if time allows, but if not, thank you very much for listening. It's been a pleasure participating. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your presentation, and thank you for shortening your presentation. So it was perfect.
No problem.
Dr. Tariq, are you available? Oh, and
can you stop share, please?
Yes, I'm available. Is my voice is clear and loud?
Yes, yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
Right. So let me share my screen. Do you see my presentation?
Yes, we do.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Tariq Umar, and I'm a senior lecturer in construction project management in the University of West of England. And I'm going to present some of my research output related to the application of building information modeling, drones, and 3D printing in the context of GCC construction industry. So the content of my presentation include an overview of the GCC construction industry. Then I will shed light on the challenges of building information modeling in GCC construction industry. Then I will cover the application of drone in GCC construction industry. And then I will briefly look into the key factors that influence the implementation of 3D printing in construction. And then at the end, I will present the concluding remark. And if there is a time for question and answer, that will be included as well. So just to put some light on the GCC construction industry. So obviously we know that the GCC consists of 5 main oil producing countries that include Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Oman, Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait. There has been social and economic development in the whole region since 1970. Because of that economic development, there was a boom in the construction and infrastructure project. Obviously, it has been somehow affected by the oil and gas prices, and obviously because of the current COVID, but still there is a great improvement. And I have just put some data from 2019. So this is basically just reflecting the contract which is awarded, let's say in 6 months of the 2019. So which basically include a huge amount. Because of this boom in the construction sector, this has created several issues that are related to sustainability, energy efficiency, waste and resources, health and safety, material demand, delay in completion, environmental issues, and things like that. Now, because all these issues are there, there is a number of ways to tackle them. And one of them is basically to incorporate construction technology. Technology can help in most of these issues, which currently the construction industry is facing, not only in the GCC region, but throughout the world. There is a number of technologies which is basically part of the fourth industrial revolution. So I'm not going to cover all of them. I have just selected the few which is basically related to the topic of my presentation. So the first one is the building information modeling. The second one is the wireless monitoring and connected equipment. And obviously the third one is the 3D printing. So just to shed light on the building information modeling and its challenges. Obviously, this technology can bring a number of advantages that are related to the cost reduction, the quality documentation. It also provides better financial control. It's also reduced the time for documentation, and it also helped to timely access to the project information. It helped to reduce error in the construction process, and also help time reduction in the project life cycle. Help the project manager to take good decision, increase revenue, and also help to improve the worker productivity. But the problem is that there is a number of challenges when it's come to GCC construction industry. So what we have done, my research basically focused on those challenges. For that, what I have done, I have collected some data, the relevant data from different construction professional. You can see on the graph here that represent what professional basically has been used in the data collection. And if you look at the question, so the building information implementation, majority of they said we are not using that. There is obviously a plan to use it, but they are not aware of the building information modeling benefit. So that's why that awareness might help to take the decision to implement the building information modeling. Majority of them, they are saying that we are planning for the implementation, but obviously that might take place. But if they will know the benefits, obviously the process of implementation can help. Now, what are the key challenges of BIM implementation in GCC context? I have categorized based on my research in 4 categories. So there are issues which I have classified under the organization. So that is the main issue. The organizational issues is the main, you can say, challenge to implement the building information modeling and GCC construction. It is followed by the technical, obviously, the technology or the workers' capabilities or the professional capabilities or awareness of the technologies. That is classified as second categories. There is also the things which I have classified under the government and legal. That is the third category, and the last one is the environment. Obviously, construction organization look at to each other, so they look at if somebody is using, so they also try to adopt that. Now, just quickly,
can I give you a 2-minute warning?
Yeah, so just quickly to look at the application of drones in built environment. Obviously, we can use that for several purposes: aerial photography, for surveying, quality inspection, safety inspection, measurement, progress monitoring, site monitoring, and things like that. Drone can help in all these areas. My focus is on safety inspection in construction sector. I have collected the data from 92 different responses from all GCC countries. And the response is basically classified the current application of drones, which you can see on the table. Obviously, safety inspection is somehow used, but obviously it's not on the top rank. Yeah, so if we want to effectively use, so what are the area, if we're going to use the drone for safety inspections? Obviously there are a kind of classification which has been identified by the respondent. So obviously I have classified based on the frequencies or based on the means value. So these are the key area where the respondent says that they might be use the drones for safety inspection. We also look at to the technical features. So obviously what feature they are interested, the respondent are interested to have in the drone. So obviously they were more concerned about the camera mobility, autopilot, and things like that. And as you see the list going down, so these were the least effective or least attractive items, and the top one are the most attractive items for the technical features. Right, there are barriers to use the drones for safety-related tasks in the GCC construction. I have categorized based on the data collected from the respondent. Obviously, safety concern is there, technical challenges is there, liabilities and legal concern is there. If these issues are resolved, therefore, then it will help to basically implement the drones in the GCC construction industries, and there will be possibility to get benefits of these technologies. Now, let's look at to the 3D printing at the end. This can be in safety. It can help us to reduce the labor's time, reduction in waste, and it can help in customization as well. It can also help to reduce the cost and error. It can also eliminate the design limitation. There is a progress on the use of this technology, but obviously if you try to compare with other industries in construction sector, the progress is not that satisfactory. So we have some example, like you can see in a 3D printed house, completely 3D printed house, which was completed in 2021. And we have also an example of 3D printed building office in Dubai, which was completed in 2016. So there are some examples, but obviously there are some challenges. So what are these challenges? Why we are not using? So what I have done, I have reviewed the literature, the existing literature from the year 2000 to 2019. I have used some key databases for that, which you can see on the screen. I will just quick skip that. I have reviewed a number of papers from these databases, and you can see the list of those papers from each databases. And I have arrived on some of the key statistics, so the key challenges basically. I have categorized that again in technology. So technology is the main issues which basically a kind of barrier in the implementation of 3D printing. It is followed by the organization, then by the environment, and the last one is the cost. So the people are also, the research is basically also concerned on the cost. Just to conclude, concluding remarks, construction sector has a great potential for improvement. It can help us to deliver the sustainable development goals. BIM, drones, and 3D printing technology can bring positive impact. There are challenges in BIM implementation in GCC construction. There are also several barriers to use the drones on construction site in GCC region. The key factors that affect the 3D printing in construction can be classified under technical, organization, environment, and cost categories. I have, if somebody is interested more in these researches, I have provided the links to my publication. They are easily available online. This is the end of my presentation. I will be happy to answer the question, but obviously there is no time, so I'm providing my email address if somebody wants to get in touch. You can also get in touch with me through my social media account. I have just provided directly using Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and also there is my web page on my university profile. Thank you very much for attention, and this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tariq, and thank you for cutting it short. We really appreciate you're able to fit in so much information in a short period of time.
No, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Dr. Hanadi.
Thank you so much, Professor Dan, for running this conference, for running these sessions, and thank you for all the speakers for their participation and value added information.